Well, hello friends, this here's David Bose. This is November 17th, 2015. It's good to see everybody today. Well, I was on my way home from Lubbock, Texas, back to New Mexico where I live. I was just thinking about people and all the troubles and worries and things that's going on in the world. I know that it's really rough for a lot of people. There are a lot of you out there that just depressed all the time. You might not know where you're going to get your next meal. Maybe you're sick. The doctors are giving you the runaround and you're just getting sicker and you don't know what to do. Maybe you've lost somebody that's very important to you and it's very sad. There's times when we human beings, we have things that we have to go through that are so hard that it's almost unbearable. And I sympathize with many of you out there who are having hard times. And I'm very sorry for that. So I'm thinking, what can I do to help people? There's very little you can do in some ways, because the world is what it is. You tell people, eat right, and you'll feel better. And then, it's very difficult to do that. Even if you went to the store and started buying vegetables and fruit, a lot of the fruit and vegetables aren't as good as they used to be. There's not a lot of minerals in those, and there's just a lot of things that it's very difficult to do. So it's hard to explain to people or to tell people what they could really do to make their life better. But there is something you can do. Because if we sat here and we talked about it, say you were with me here and you and I talked, and you said, well, Dave, I've got this problem and that problem is just hopeless and I don't know what to do. And I'm just so sad, and I'm alone, and I'm addicted to drugs, or I'm sick or something. And there's nothing I can do. I don't know how to get out of this situation. Something's happened to me. It's nothing I have any control over, maybe. But there is something we can do. And I think that's where the Bible comes in. A lot of you who are not very religious, you don't like the Bible very much, and I don't blame you. I mean, I understand. There's been so many things that have been done in the name of religion. That and what religion you're going to believe in? What doctrine are you going to believe in? And some of the teachings that Christians have just become sort of outdated with modern scientific facts that we know. A lot of Christians are going to hear that and say, Dave, what are you, you're not a Christian? You don't believe in the Bible? You think there's... No, friends, we have to be honest. Of course I believe in the Bible. It's a very ancient book. It's got a lot of words in there that are very important. The question is, what is the Bible? What does it teach? Because if it's just teaching that we should go to some church, sit in a pew, give lip service, ring a bell, do a little hokey pokey. If that's what you think it teaches, it's not going to be helpful. It's not going to get you anywhere. Because remember, the gospel's the good news. And if you don't have something that's really giving you a good news, something that's changing your life, if you're not really saved, Jesus went around healing people, giving them hope. And that's what we're supposed to do as Christians. He said, go out and heal and clothe the naked, feed the hungry. But we're not doing it. It's just like the message that we're, like certain religions are running around, like Jehovah's Witnesses, banging on your door and handing you pamphlets. And that's not helping anybody. So what's the answer? What does that book teach? Is it anything valuable? You see, when I say Christianity doesn't got any answers, I'm not talking about the Bible. I'm talking about religion. They've become apostate, and they don't have any answers anymore. It's exactly what happened in the days of Jesus when he came to the religious leaders of that day, and Jesus condemned them. They didn't have compassion. They didn't have understanding. They didn't have any knowledge or wisdom. They didn't know what to tell the people. They were hypocrites. They were blind guides leading the blind right into a pit, according to Jesus Christ. And so this is important. So if you're a Christian, this is important. You need to understand that we're not in the business of downing people or making fun of religion. That's not what we need to be doing. But we need to be honest because the people need to know the truth. We just tell people, oh, go to church and ring the bell, and then you'll get what, eat the wafer, and you're going to go, everything's going to be great. And it's not the truth. That's not what Jesus taught. So, a lot of people have a lot of troubles, a lot of real problems, and they need help. So you need to really heal somebody in order to really be exercising faith the way Jesus talked about. What's wrong with Christianity today? We don't have this real relationship with a spiritual source, our Father in heaven. See, we don't even know what the esoteric teachings or the meanings of the Scripture is. It's all symbolic. We're running around, we think that religion or the Bible teaches that God is a big man with a beard and he sits on a cloud and he has harps and there's a bunch of fairies running around. Angels that got wings and flying around, and there's a big old bad mean devil. He's all red and got horns and he's got a pitchfork and he's in hell. This is all symbolic. And Christianity has not understood the meaning of this stuff. They've just taught this literally. And it's just confusing people, and it's not helping anyone. We got real problems, and we need some real help. Many of you need help, and like we said, it sounds like it's hopeless for some of you. Some of you just don't know what you're going to do, but there's an answer, because you see that book, the Bible, has an answer, and it isn't do some hokey pokey and take a wafer and call me in the morning. That's not it. That's not the answer he gave. Jesus gave a real answer. He said you can overcome all your troubles. You can move that mountain. It appears to be impossible. That tree is really hard to uproot, right? But you can uproot that tree and throw it into the sea. You can command the mountain to be moved, and it will obey you. Do you have something impossible in your life that you think is just impossible? A burden that is causing you a lot of trouble, and you've been dealing with it for a long time, friends, and you don't know what to do. There's an answer. The answer is we got to remove the mountain, that impossible, immovable structure that's in our way and it's causing all of our trouble. The Bible's a symbolic book, and if you don't understand the symbols, you're not going to get anywhere with that book. It has nothing to do with going to church and sitting in a pew. And our true source is spiritual, and it has nothing to do with a bearded man in the sky or a red-horned, pitchfork-wielding, evil demon. Jesus cast out demons. What were they? Little red-horned creatures that howl at night, and inhabit people. In Greek, that word is daemon. And there's scriptures in the Bible that prove that these daemons, which, there were different words that they used for these things. Sometimes they call these things phobies. See, that's where we get the word phobia or fear. But see, these words, demon, means deceptions. What Jesus was doing really was helping people know the truth. He said the truth was what was going to set us free. And so if we get rid of these deceptions, these fears, then we're well. See, it's all about consciousness, friends. It's all about consciousness. It's all about opening your mind to the truth and letting go of the fears. Because you see, all of this evil that we see around us, this big mountain that's got us hampered in, it's not immovable. That thing appears to be strong and It's physical, right? It's a big physical mountain. You can't get around something that firm and, you know, solid, right? That's what it appears. But it's not real. The only thing that's real is the spiritual truth. And the spiritual truth is you have control over the whole world. You're a spiritual being, and this physical world is just an illusion that you can change. You've got to have faith, and with faith you can command that mountain to move. So if you've got a problem, friends, we can fix it. But how are we going to do that? Well, some time ago, back in the Dark Ages, we were taught a lot of, you know, stuff like boogeymans, and, you know, we thought the devils and demons were ghosts and boogeymans and monsters, and you know, we were out, you know, trying to heal people and casting the demons out and everything, thinking this was all literal. And now we're understanding. We're in the modern age, and we understand what's really going on. We've finally learned recently. We're going into a new way of thinking. We're finally understanding that E equals MC squared. That energy is transformed into matter, and matter into energy. When they first learned about this, they saw matter as little particles. But they really didn't know, because they couldn't see the particles. But they had theory. And so they developed a theory that an atom was made up of neutrons and protons and electrons, and they made little diagrams, and they understood the universe was made up of all these little parts. As time went on, they began to have another theory come along, because that theory didn't work with all of their equations. And the other theory was that matter was a wave, an energy wave. It's a vibration. And they just couldn't figure this out for years, because both theories seemed to work, but they were incompatible together. They did. It's either one or the other, right? It's either energy, waves, vibrations, or it's actual particles, physical little particles. Well, recently they've done some research, and they found out that energy is a wave. It is energy. It is vibration. But when you focus on it, you pay attention to it, you concentrate on some particular point, it turns into a particle. I know, it sounds amazing, doesn't it? It sounds like something, I'm making this up, but you can look this up, friends. Go on the internet and look this up. They've discovered that energy changes when you look at it, when you pay attention to it, when you focus on it. You see? It's because the physical world, the material physical world, is not really real. It's just an illusion. It's really light. It's just energy, just waves and vibrations. But when we put our mind to something, we begin to focus on it, then we make it solid. We make it real. So if you're afraid, you have a lot of guilt upon your heart, and you think that something really bad's going to be there, a big boogeyman, then that's what we create. And then our lives turn into these big boogeyman stories. And everything bad happens to us. We're creating all this bad. On the other hand, Jesus said if you have faith, it'll all work out fine. We've got to learn to have faith. Remember that story I keep telling you guys, you know, Jesus was in the boat. The waves come up, the wind. And Jesus was laying in the boat and he was sleeping. And the disciples got scared. They were going to drown. They said, Jesus, you're sleeping and we're about to drown. You see, Jesus represents our spiritual man. The inner spiritual man that's powerful and it can control everything. And the wind was just an illusion. Jesus woke up and he told the wind to be calm. And the waves just came to a rest and the little boat just kind of came to peace. And Jesus said, ye of little faith, all you have to do is have faith. That's all you got to do, friends. So, that's really what I wanted to tell everybody today. And we'll talk more about this. There's an art to having faith, friends. And we're going to have to talk a lot more about this. But for now, I think that's going to be very helpful. And I'm going to go ahead and go on home, and we'll talk about this faith tomorrow a little bit more, okay? You guys have a great day. This is David Bose, and we'll see you again tomorrow.